What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in again to Broken Now Revive podcast. I am your host, Jossie. And we have my sister here again, TT.
Hey y'all.
What's up? We hope that you all enjoyed last week's episode. We are here today with another topic, which is comparison. Comparison, which I feel that is the thief of joy. So with today's society, you may find yourself just comparing, right? So rather if it's money, clothes, house, marriage, whatever. So it's like it's okay to admire, but it's another thing when you start to compare. And then when you compare, sometimes those ill feelings start to set in, like it could be insecurities or jealousy or envy, or even depression. So TT, what do you feel about comparison? Like, what do you think even sparked the idea to even want to compare? Or like, first of all, what is comparison to you?
Comparison to me is really measuring something against another. Rather if it's sometimes it's measuring something against yourself or someone against yourself or something that you have or don't have, your age. It can just be from many different factors. But for me, I just believe that it's just a measurement that you put against something.
Yeah, I agree. So, like, what do you think sparks the idea for us to want to compare ourselves or, to somebody else or something else? Like, it's one thing to say, oh, an apple is more sweeter than an orange, or I like a apple better than an orange. But what do you think sparked that idea for us to even want to start doing that as people?
Um, I think you said um something that I agree with, and sometimes it can be insecurities. If you are not dealing with some internal issues within yourself, sometimes I do believe it can cause comparison. So say for instance, I haven't if I feel some type of way and I wanted something that someone else had, and they got it and I didn't, that can make, that can become an issue within myself. And because you got it, now I'm measuring myself up against you, wondering how was you better than me. When sometimes it had nothing to do with who was better, who was greater, who had the best potential. Sometimes it's just the fact that another person got it.
Yeah, she's starting this off hot, okay. So yes, I believe like starting like the idea to want to compare is I agree with the low self-esteem. You're not confident in where you are. You're not content or confident in where you at. So it causes you to start branching off looking at other people. So I feel like that's what sparks the idea to even start comparing yourself. Because when you happy, like what? You ain't looking at nobody. You get what I'm saying? Or nothing. You don't got nothing to compare to when you were in a good place. Or even if you're not healed, sometimes you may be like, hold on, this still bothers me. So why this happened, but then my experience was this way. So it's kind of like you still bothered by instead of like accepting what happened and moving forward.
Yeah, because I remember when I first had my son, 11 or 12 years ago. I remember when his father had a child prior to my son. And when I seen that he didn't treat my son the same way, and then also his mother, so I would be on social media looking at her page, looking at how they interacted with the first child, it had nothing to do with my child. And it actually caused, because I wasn't healed and I was hurt, I began to search and started to measure and compare one child against the other. And I was actually kind of damaging myself even more because I started finding reasons on why it validated how I felt. When and Something that helped me to get over that, I had to um cut social media off. I had to cut social media off until I got healed over that situation. It no longer mattered how they did this child over mine when I got into a better place.
Yeah.
So for me, because I was hurt, it took me to a place where I began to compare like one child to the other. And sometimes, social media can be a stem from it. So sometimes you really can be in your own lane, minding your own business. And when you begin to see so many other individuals in a better place than you, so you in your mind you think they're in a better place, they're more successful, they have a lot more going on, and why am I still in this place? Everybody else, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it begins to open up a door to be curious. How come everyone else is thriving? How come everyone else is successful? How come this is happening for this person and that is happening for another person and it's not happening for me?
Mhm.
So sometimes I think it's also what you open up yourself to, because sometimes it don't always have to come from hurt or
Right.
insecurities.
Exactly.
But after a while, when you see so much of something, you can sometimes become curious, like, hey, like I'm still in this place, and it seems like everything else around me is
Yeah.
my age, they're getting married or they're having children or they getting 6-figure jobs, and so I become ungrateful
Yeah.
where I am.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, that's good. I feel like social media is a big one because we don't know. First of all, you don't know anyone personally on social media. At least like the celebrities and influencers. Like we don't know them personally, right? So it's like you don't know what it took for them to get where they at. You don't know what they had to go through to get there. And you don't even know what struggles like they have behind closed doors. So it's like you see the glory but not knowing like what's their story to get there. You
mhm.
get what I'm saying? So I feel that a time where I start comparing was, okay, God, like I got a relationship with you, I love you, and then my thing is, I don't know, people may do serve God, but I don't know that. But from the outside looking in, it's like it's like they a little more blessed than me. And it's like I'm going through it's like I'm struggling, or I'm going through this and that, but then it's like they can live their life, and they live in their dreams, and they don't seem to serve you. They don't seem to have a relationship with you. And it's like, God, that's not fair. Like, hello, do you see me? So my thing is you do have to start back focusing on yourself. Like look at yourself. So it's that scripture that comes to mind, like, what is a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? So it's like you can gain the world, but then now your soul is lost. Like people sometimes not even happy internally.
Mhm.
It's like you got all the materialistic things, but it's like I would rather have my peace of mind. I would rather be whole. I would rather have the Lord on my side and be fulfilled with him than to have the material things in life.
Absolutely.
So I know you spoke about like the situation, like with your son and comparing like, okay, how the dad relationship was with his other kids. Like, how did you, I know that part. So did you ever feel like any sadness when it came to that, or did you envy how he treated the other kids, like rather than him? Like, how negative sometimes you can start comparing, and I realize that now these negative emotions are entering my heart and I need to check myself. But it's like, hey, it happens sometimes unintentionally. But how did you like realize like negative things enter or
Yeah, I was angry. I was upset. I felt like it wasn't fair.
Mhm.
And there was, how could you treat this child this way and be in their life and not be in this child? So because you, in your mind, you do think your child deserves that.
Mhm.
And then when they don't get it, so but when I look at the fact that you were capable
Mhm.
of giving that and you decided not to, it did make me question, what was it about my child that you couldn't give that to them?
Yeah.
And so yeah, there could have been some envious envy there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. because I wanted something for my child that he didn't give, but he was able to provide that at the time. But later, you find out that, to your point, sometimes it just was a picture painting because that person was only present and provided no protection. There was no safety there in the home, or that they were more like a babysitter. Or so I had to look at the benefit on why it was good that he wasn't there, instead of focusing on what was it about my son while he wasn't, and to help me get into a better place. But it wasn't me psyching myself out. It was really the reality of it. What we don't realize is that we all have different paths that we have to walk on. And what was meant for one, even if it's in the same household, what is meant for one doesn't mean that it's meant for the other.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to continue to walk along our own path in order to discover what it is that's meant for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That kind of took me back to when I was younger. Like mind you, she's the oldest, so her and my mom was more so like that. And I remember me and my other older sister, we would compare like our my mom relationship to like her and my brother. And we was like, wait, she like why when they call, she get us off the phone, or she ain't holding conversation with us like that. So it's like me and my sister found ourselves comparing like the relationship. But honestly, I'm not a huge talker, so it's like you ain't even got nothing to talk about, girl. Like, so it's like, what you getting upset that she getting you off the phone? Like, why you feel some type of way when you don't talk like that? It's like you ain't got that much to talk about. So I felt like I had to, like, what kind of helped me to not compare the two is realizing like, okay, she like, first of all, people have different relationships, whether if you got multiple kids or siblings. It's like you all will still have a different relationship with each other. So I had to come to grips like, okay, she's older, I'm younger, she has more to talk about, I don't. You get what I'm saying? You may can relate to her more, I can't, because you went through some experiences that you can relate to, I haven't went through none yet. So it's like I had to quit looking and comparing and kind of stay in my own lane. Like, okay, this is the relationship that I have with my mom. So don't compare it to like your other siblings.
And then you're not looking at the fact that I still have a relationship.
Exactly.
Or someone who may be comparing, well, how this person get this mansion and I'm still in my apartment, but you not realizing that you still have shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Or, how did this person get this business opportunity and I didn't, but you're not realizing I still have a job, or I'm still employed.
Yeah.
So it would lead to a place of being ungrateful and not content,
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful. Because we do have, our own paths
Mm-hmm.
that is designed specifically for us. And sometimes when we get certain things, you think you want it until you get it, but sometimes you're not even equipped, or they blessing does not even fit who you are or
Yeah.
where you're going. But from the outside, it looks so glamored that it looked like it's something that I want,
Mm-hmm.
until, but what if I really possess that? Would I even have the character to really maintain that? Do I have the right attitude? Like, so to your point, you don't really know what it took for that person to even get the blessing, and also how they can maintain that. Because certain things we're not willing to go through
Yeah.
in order to get that.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree. Because I feel like you don't know how, you may not even know how to handle what you think you want.
mhm,
So it's like you can't want somebody else when you're not prepared. That's just like a baby wanting hard candy because I see an older kid winning. It's like, I want that, but if we was to give you that hard candy, you would choke. You get what I'm saying? You wouldn't even know how to properly eat the candy because you're not mature enough to even handle what it is that you're wanting. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying? So it looked good and it is good, but you handle it? Are you ready to really handle it? So it's like stay in your lane, and as the baby begins to grow and get older, now you can have that, but at this moment, it's not meant for you to have.
Absolutely. Because I do know even I've heard so many women as it relates to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
The desire is nothing wrong with that. Marriage is a beautiful thing, but then you only want marriage because you've seen another woman.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the ring, you've seen the wedding dress. So sometimes we begin to desire things based off the glamour and the look of it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want what that person have, but again, do I really have what it takes? Am I actually honest enough to say, truth be told, I'm really not even ready for that?
Yeah.
But instead, was she 35 and I'm 35, my bio. So sometimes you even would compare you where you at
Mm-hmm.
based on the biological clock.
Yeah.
So because I'm looking at time, I'm comparing myself with time when and we allow time to dictate when we should have something.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time that I should have this and have that and have this and have that. And sometimes you're looking at the wrong clock.
Yeah, that's good right there. Because sometimes it's like it's just not your timing. Like it don't matter
Mm-hmm.
what age you're in. Like if it's not meant for you at that moment, it's just not meant, and it's like you have to be okay with that. Because it's like it will help you start to not compare yourself. So I feel like being a wife not always easy. Like yeah, the wedding is beautiful, the bride is beautiful, the groom handsome, all these beautiful things came together, but are you mature enough to handle it? When you get it, can you even keep it? um you get what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, if you was to get, if you feel like you should be there at that moment, if you really truly had it in your hand at that time, would you be able to really handle what it is that you truly desire? It's like you looking in their cup instead of like being okay with what you got in your cup. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's okay, because sometimes when God do give us what we ask for, then we realize even at that time, like, ooh, I know it came with all that. Sometimes you don't
Yeah,
even know.
you don't know what it come with.
Yeah,
You don't know what someone else blessing come with.
yeah.
I do know too. I am a newlywed, and my husband will compare me to my sister. He would compare how she is with her husband to how I am with him, and I had to tell him I'm not her. Um, so sometimes you can measure, even be in the same, um, category as someone,
Yeah.
and you think that it's supposed to be there, but they rolled in their marriage, how they got together, how they met, all of it is completely different. And you comparing me to someone who's been married for how many years?
3.5.
3.5 years, and we just got married yesterday. We are still in the infant stage of our marriage, and you're comparing me to someone who's been married for a few years
Yeah.
and not even knowing how they grew there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, sometimes it's okay to ask, if you desire to go into a direction someone else, to just simply ask, how did you get there?
Yeah.
Instead of measuring me against that person or measuring yourself against that person. Sometimes it's okay to ask, how did you get there? And sometimes that will also leave you in a place of contentment or help you to be more content, because you would be like, oh, I didn't know it took all that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm willing to sacrifice that to become that.
Yeah.
Or to become this. So sometimes I do think that's a way to also help when you are in a mindset of comparison, is to have a little bit more information, because once you get the details, you may change your mind on if that's even something you would consider.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's like if God tell us, okay, I got this plan for you, you like, yes, God, yes, like yes to your will and your way. But then it's like oh, it come with this bump, this hiccup, this I'm losing this. I go in this direction. Like you going through all these different emotions and trials and tribulations, and it's like you looked at the glamour and wanted that, but then it's like you didn't know like what was along that path, like what bumps was along that path. So I think it is good to like kind of just keep a look on your lane and where you at, like versus the example you got. It's like let's enjoy being newlyweds, like let's just enjoy each other, let's get to learn each other. But sometimes we just want to like kind of skip the process and we want to get to the promise, and I'm guilty of that. Like sometimes you're like, I don't want to go through this, like I want the promise, like that's what I want. But it only helps you to be stronger. It
Mm-hmm.
like the whatever you go through is going to equip you to handle it. For one, you're going to become stronger, you're going to become wiser, then you're going to appreciate that. Look at all we've been through. I appreciate where we are now because of where I had to go through to even get where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was a specific time I used to like how certain people dress. And I'm like, oh, she dressed so cute. I wish I had this and I had that. And later finding out that everything they were wearing was stolen. No,
Oh my
I
god.
desired it. I wanted it. I compared myself like I'm looking like this and they looking like that and they dressing like this and that.
Yeah.
And later found out that their clothes were stolen and some of their clothes were borrowed.
Oh.
So I was like, if I would have known that, I would even want what they got after I find out their details from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm measuring myself against, or now I'm desiring something that don't even belong to them.
Yeah.
Or they didn't even get it the honest way. And I'm sitting here comparing.
Yeah.
You know,
Or you could be like, oh, they got a nice car. Like, I can't wait to get a new car. And you don't know they in a rental. Like, you get
yes.
what I'm
Or
saying?
car about to be repossessed,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
or that's a mama car,
Yeah.
girlfriend car, and yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know. You don't know. You just kind of see it and be like, "Oh my gosh, like how they get that?" Like you
Mhm.
don't know because most times people are not even honest where they are. Some people, a lot of people, kind of have a different life that appears on the internet than they do in real life. Somebody can even look like they have the most healthiest, perfect marriage and can be going through hell behind closed doors. So it's like, don't be like, oh, I want their marriage to be like that. You don't know what people are going through
Mhm.
behind closed doors.
Most of the time, people only show you
Yeah.
the pretty. They never
Mhm.
show you the process.
Exactly.
And so because you never get to see the process, you just very amazed by the beauty of what they show you.
Hmm.
Even sometimes on social media, I did have to remove myself from it because I do feel like that is one of the biggest ways to compare yourself.
Yeah.
And when you have these people relationship goals, not knowing that some people are being abused behind those goals that you desire to have, because you only get to see the pictures, the smiles, the vacations, but you don't get to see what happened before the picture was taken,
Yeah.
or once the camera is turned off.
Hmm.
So I had to learn to appreciate what I had that was right in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Cause sometimes I do have to like just remove myself from social media because it is like you would be like, they're just like, it could be a couple you would admire where they at, and it's like, dang, like I want my man to do that, or I desire to do that for my man, but then it's like, okay, honey, you only been married like 3.5 years, they got 20 plus years on their marriage. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you don't know what it took for them to get there. But I feel like too, social media is like it's to connect with others, but also it's kind of like you're watching others. Like, let's be real. Like you on there, you're scrolling, what you doing? You watching what other people doing. You're looking at their stories because why? You're looking at what other people are doing. So it's like it was meant to like just connect with like old friends or keep in touch with family.
Networking,
Yeah,
promote
networking.
businesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now it's like you kind of just looking at, oh, look at this person. Like it's like you kind of just on there looking into other people's lives, which can sneakily come into now you're starting to compare yourself to that.
But I also can see how it can rob your joy
Mm-hmm.
because I will become less happy about my process when
Mm.
I look at yours. And I can be in a moment where I'm enjoying where I am because I know where I came from.
Yes.
I know what I prayed for. I know what I asked for. I knew what my true desires was. But then it got changed
Mm-hmm.
and perverted when I seen somebody else's.
Yeah.
And now I'm no longer happy over what I have
Yeah.
because I was looking at you.
Yeah, that's good. That is so good. Sometimes you will be happy with what you got, and it's like, God, thank you. Like, oh my gosh, like I got my very first apartment. Like, thank you, God. But then you may see somebody who your age who got a home, and it's like, oh, like, dang, I need to get a home now. Like now you feel the need. You need to start competing, or because I feel like when you start comparing, you start to try to compete to outdo a
Mhm.
person. But it's like, okay, honey, remember where you just came from. You just was living with your mama. Like, be grateful for your apartment. And when you start to take care of what you have and be grateful for what you have, like, then you will start to flourish with what you have, and then you can get more. um
Absolutely.
so yeah.
So true.
So yeah, I feel like this was good. This was a good episode.
Hmm.
So just going through the phases of being content with where you at. So I know, like, before we do wrap up this episode, so what words of encouragement or advice you would give someone who may do this every day, like spend their day-to-day life just comparing everything? Like they probably just in an unhappy place right now, don't feel good about their life. So what advice would you give someone who do this every day or may battle with comparison? Because sometimes it's not like you want to compare, sometimes it just happen. But then now you're starting to do it every day, then that becomes an issue. So what would you say?
Well, they always said the grass is not always greener on the
Mm.
other side. If you water what you have, it will grow.
Mm.
So if you do pay attention to what you have in front of you, I like to use the analogy of a car. When two cars driving in two lanes, if I'm always driving in my rearview mirror, looking at the car in the next lane over to me, and I'm not looking in my front window,
Mhm.
I will crash because I'm too busy looking at them and what they're doing. And so, what does that crash really look like? It can become envy. Is that crash? I might crash into jealousy, crash into competing, crash into envy, crash into a lack of joy because I no
Mhm.
longer enjoy my process. So
Yeah.
I will say, just water what's in front of you and just really take a moment and appreciate where you came from because you grew from where you were, but you can acknowledge that growth from where you are in your lane when you looking at someone else's.
Yes, Pastor, that was awesome. This pastor. Pastor is speaking.
I cannot, girl.
Oh my gosh. But that was good. That was really good. I would just say that simply just focus on you. If you find that it is a struggle, distract yourself from looking at other people. Learn to be happy with where you are in life. Learn to love where you are. And thank God, because sometimes, like you said, we can become ungrateful because now you're not grateful for what you have and what God given you. And that's like a smack in his face, like, wow, like, so now you can't thank me, or now you're not happy with what I gave you. So that's like a smack in his face. So I would just say focus on you. If you gotta delete social media for a while, do that. Like what is taken away from your distraction that causes you to look at others? If it's, oh, I'm struggling with insecurities, I'm comparing myself against another woman or another man, it's like learn to love you for like 100%. And yeah, like you said, the grass not always green on the other side. But I just encourage you all to don't let nothing steal your joy.
Yeah,
Nothing.
and I'll say eat the portion that's on your plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Cause trying to stick your fork in other people's stuff.
Hmm.
But that is good. So you guys, I thank you for tuning in to Broken Out Revive podcast. I hope that you all have got what you needed from here. We definitely got to bring Pastor TT back on here again. So don't forget to email us and subscribe and like our channel, Broken Out Revive at gmail.com, YouTube and Apple Podcasts is Broken Out Revive. You can send in emails for advice that you may want us to give you during the podcast, or even suggest topics. And then we will have how to connect with us below the video. And thank you so much. We see you
See
soon.
you soon.